Hello and welcome to Open Your Mind Radio. This is Alan James.
Oh, you've changed the intro.
It's the new year, 2015.
You didn't tell me you were going to do that. And you have me as well. There you go. You changed it. Why'd you do that?
It's a new year. I just thought I'd do it for
spur of the moment.
Change. Spur of the moment. Spur of the moment change.
Right. And myself, Stephen George. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Sunday the 4th of January 2015. A new year and the first show of the new year. And of course, they always say start as you mean to go on. And I hope that's not the case because our guest went AWOL and we're kind of track him down. We're trying to track him down at the moment. So leave that with us. But we do have two guests on tonight. And we'll go through that. But before we do that, we'll find out what the communication channels are.
Yes, we will. Be it Mary or be it Steph, we'll find out what the communication channels are, please.
The communication channels are email info@oymireland.com, by phone 046 927 1212, and you can also contact us direct through the OYM chat room.
Yes, 046 927 1212 is the number for the studio this evening and every evening. Again, if you want to ring in from outside the Republic of Ireland, it's going to be 00353 46 927 1212. We also have on the website here, on OYMradio.com, we have the live chat button. You can log into the chat room there. You can ask questions. You can talk amongst yourselves. We also have anti-social media, that is Facebook. You can check us out there as well. We're on YouTube. Although I don't know for how much longer. I believe they're tightening up things on YouTube and all sorts of videos are beginning to be removed left, right and centre. And we also on the smartphone and iPhone app, that is tuneinradio.com. You can check us out there as well. So, yeah, we're also going to be monitoring the chat room on People's Internet Radio. So, hi to everyone over there this evening. And there we go. That's the lot there. Back to you.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, we have, the plan of attack was to have two guests on tonight. The first guest was Finbar Markey from the Land League, National Land League, and to get a further update on what's going on there. But Finbar seems to be AWOL at the moment. He's gone missing. And so we don't know, so we'll kind of try and get in touch with them during the show anyway. But our second guest is a lady called Joanne Cremer. Now, we've met Joanne via Facebook, and we've interviewed her on United We Strike radio. And basically, Joanne is ex-military, and she's trained in pattern recognition. And she's seen an awful lot of stuff. She's posting a lot of her photos that she's taken, and she's seen an awful lot of stuff in our skies. And she's just amazed and overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that's going on. And obviously, because she's trained in pattern recognition, she can see these things. But for the kind of Joe Blogs in the street who's not trained, it's kind of difficult for us to see it. So basically, we're going to be getting Joanne in the next 10 minutes or so. And we'll be talking to Joanne about her background and basically what she's seen and the increase in sky anomalies. And the things she's photographing, so that's going to be quite interesting. So we'll get Joanne in, and then if Finbar comes online, then what we'll do is we'll stick Finbar on at the end of the show. We'll get him on the second half of the show. I think that's the best thing to do. Speaking
of sky anomalies, could Rupert Murdoch be considered a sky anomaly?
Definitely, yeah. He was definitely an anomaly. One of them put your teeth in things, one of them words. Right, okay, just catching up on a couple of things. It was quite quiet. I don't know about you. Had you a quiet Christmas or busy or how'd it go?
I had a white Christmas.
White Christmas?
Yeah, I was going to sing it, but it was very quiet. Very quiet.
Yeah.
Peaceful, sedate.
Yeah, likewise. It was pretty quiet, nothing much happening. Just taking a break, and it's good to take a break and get away and,
Well, you got away, did you? Where'd you go? Judging by your tan, it must have been somewhere foreign.
Away from the microphone, yeah. Away from the microphone, just having a break, just having a wind down. Just a couple of things on the list, as I say. We mentioned, on the last week's show, we mentioned about Air Asia, the flight QZ8501. I went down, they found parts of the wreckage, they found a few bodies and stuff like that. And something that was mentioned during the week, now I don't know if this is correct or not, but or is it just coincidence, that the CEO of the company had sold 944,000 shares the day before the plane went down. Now, is that just coincidence? I don't know. I just thought I'd put it out there anyway.
Did you actually see some of the pictures floating around the internet already? I was asked this the other day, by a work colleague, kind of tongue in cheek. Oh, what's your take now on this Air Asia disaster? And I was being honest. I said, you know what? I don't know. I didn't hear much about it, so I can't really comment. And he says to me, oh, come on, you must have an angle. And I said, no, unfortunately I don't. I haven't really heard. I'll have to look into it, see what's happening, and I'll have a look at it, from different angles. But I said, it's not really coming up on my radar at the moment. But there again, this morning, I just noticed that there are some photographs floating around the internet of supposed wreckage and supposed bodies. And again, people out there are saying, look at the bodies, look at the wreckage, and they're saying that one of what's supposed to be a body was a mannequin. They're saying it wasn't real because when they zoom in, they say, look at the knee. It's not an actual proper knee joint as you would expect. Is it? I don't know, but there are some people with obviously more knowledge than I, and they are starting to kind of put this down as another false flag. Well, so is it? I don't know.
Well, the mainstream feedback, what they're saying happened is that the plane climbed to avoid the weather. The weather was quite severe. The plane stalled and then went down from there. That's basically what they're saying. But whether that's going to change, I don't know. We'll just have to keep an eye on things and see what comes out. The other thing that obviously a lot of people have seen during the week over here in Ireland is we have a new party that's come together. A lady called Lucinda Creighton. Now, people are familiar with Lucinda Creighton because she was a Fine Gael person, and she set up a new party, and she had #Reboot Ireland, and one of the people that are on the party is another financial guru called Eddie Hobbs. Now, Eddie was very popular a few years ago, and he was coming out and exposing a few things, which is quite interesting. But it turns out, apparently, and we say allegedly because we haven't got this confirmed, but information on Facebook is saying that Eddie Hobbs' company in America has made a profit of $1.2 million by evicting people in Detroit, which I find very kind of disturbing.
Eddie Hobbs?
Eddie Hobbs, yeah.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, I know Eddie was kind of, as you say, the financial guru here a couple of years ago. And he was good at what he did, but I'm sorry, I can't believe he would be involved in something like that. Jesus.
Well, he's actually
surely not.
Well, he's actually involved with Lucinda Creighton. I mean, that in itself.
That's bad from.
That's a warning flag in itself. So, and obviously I think she was involved in the Progressive Democrats a few years ago.
I don't know, but all I know is that Lucinda Creighton, from what I've heard, again, I don't know much about the lady, but from what I've heard, her reputation precedes her, and she's kind of a name not to be trusted.
Well, apparently a quote that she said a few years ago when she was in Fine Gael was, "There are two men in my life, my husband and Enda Kenny. How sick can you get?" This person wants to raise £1 million for the party. And she's getting loads of airtime. Do you notice? I don't know whether you noticed that. She's been on everywhere. She's getting loads and loads of airtime with this party. But yet the likes of DDI and People Before Profit and all the other parties and the independents are not getting the same.
Well, I'm sorry, but Lucinda, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it big unless you're on some of the bigger outlets, namely People's Internet Radio and OYM Radio.
Definitely, yeah, you have to get on there.
Yeah, and it'll cost her to get on here.
Oh, definitely, megabucks. I mean, we might even let her on. We'd have to see. We'd have to have a think about that one, Steve. Okay, how's your week anyway?
My week's full of the usual bits and pieces. Actually, when you were talking about aircraft earlier, in relation to the Air Asia, I was actually watching a video. Again, there's a lot of things I subscribe to, and there's a lot of things I don't subscribe to. There's some stuff I believe, there's some stuff that's in my file, and there's just some stuff that's just way out there. But occasionally I like to look at some of the stuff that's way out there, just to kind of ground myself and see what people are saying. So, I actually looked during the week at a video on the flat earth theory.
Okay.
And there was a lot of good information, and the stuff that I seen that I hadn't seen before, and they were talking about the earth revolving. Now you have to picture this in your head, and I'm trying to recall from memory. You know what my memory's like at the best of times, so bear with me if you can. The earth revolves, right? It's spinning. Yeah. It's on an axis. It's spinning. Yeah. So let's say on the far left of the earth you have an aeroplane, and on the far right you have an aeroplane. the Earth is spinning, revolving, whatever.
Yeah.
So if both of those airplanes are taking off, one is going, let's say they're both traveling clockwise.
Yeah.
Right? So one is going to be taking off from, I have to do the actions here. One is taking off from here, and one's taking off from here, and they're both going to be traveling.
So one plane is at 9 o'clock, and the other plane's at 3 o'clock.
Yes. They're both going to take off, and let's say they're both going to travel for, I don't know, whatever the distance may be. They're saying that as the Earth is revolving, let's say the Earth is revolving clockwise, then the plane that's traveling clockwise is going to use more fuel, and it's going to afford a traveling time to reach its destination. Obviously because the planet is spinning at a speed, and the plane has to either be the same speed or faster. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Right. So now, you think about it, right, it's going to take that plane, let's say 10 hours to reach its destination.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we've agreed that the planet is spinning.
Yeah.
Because science tells us that it is.
Yeah.
So therefore, on the return journey, when that plane takes off to travel, let's say, from destination B back to destination A, because the planet is spinning, it shouldn't take 10 hours. It should take less than 10 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's now traveling. Anyway, yeah, okay. I can see it's going over your head. It's gone over mine.
No, I know where you come from. The Earth spins. I think it's something like 44,000 miles an hour. That's around that 46,000 miles an hour, right? Which is what they're saying. So what you're saying is that if the plane is slower than the spinning of the Earth, then the plane technically will never get to where it needs to get to.
Yeah.
Unless it's either going at the same speed of the Earth or faster.
That's what these videos seem to be saying, yeah.
Right, okay.
Now, I can see a comment there. Come on, flat out, really? Are you for real? No, I'm not. I don't believe everything I see, but there's some things that I do see, and I question it, and it looks kind of interesting when you see about the Earth revolving and the planes and all this.
Michael Tessarian is big into the flat Earth theory.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm not saying I believe it. Look, at the end of the day, I don't know, but there was some other information, and there was a chap. Actually, I seen this on, speaking of Joanne Cremer, seen this on her Facebook page. She was talking about satellites, saying satellites do not exist, and I read it, and I clicked on the link, and I sat back and I went, satellites don't exist. This is bunkum. Surely they do, because if they didn't exist, how would I receive Sky Television if I subscribe to it? And, you know, we have all these communications, satellite, what do you call the sat-nav, satellite navigation. So I had to click on the link, and they're saying sat-nav isn't connected to satellites at all. Sat-nav is allegedly connected to mobile phone masts, and they just triangulate your signal. That's how they work, seemingly. They're saying if you see what you perceive to be a satellite up in the sky, they show you the size of a satellite and say, well, okay, a satellite would be about the size of a school bus. They're then saying they're showing you a picture of an airplane, and when you see an airplane at 30,000 feet, you can see it like a dot in the sky. And they're saying, well, a school bus will be smaller than that, and a satellite will be out even further. So there's no way you could see it with the naked eye. And I was just listening to it going, wow, that's amazing.
So what are we seeing?
I don't know what we're seeing.
Well, let's find out when we get Joanne on in a minute, we'll ask her.
They're saying it's stars, but it was just brilliant. And they're saying any images, because we've allegedly got so many satellites orbiting the Earth, that we should have loads of pictures, satellite images. But they said anytime you look at a satellite image on the internet, it's generally an artist's composition, or it's never an actual picture. And they're saying because it couldn't be right, because if there's so many satellites up there, they reckon it's like, I don't know, 20,000 or million or whatever the hell it was. But any picture that you would see from, say, the space station, the alleged space station, you wouldn't be able to see the Earth clearly, because there'd be so many satellites in between the two of them that they will be clogging up what you're seeing. They also say that the satellites are in the thermosphere, where the temperature could be anywhere between 600 and 2,000 degrees. And they're saying the alloys and polymers that these satellites are made of wouldn't survive those temperatures. It's all good stuff.
But what about when you're on a plane and you see the curvature of the Earth? Yeah,
they're saying that you can't.
Right.
You think you're seeing the curvature, but you're not really.
Right. Okay.
It's great. It's mind-boggling stuff. I'll say I don't believe it. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying I disbelieve it either. But because thanks to the fluid belief system, if I see something and it can be proven, well then, you know, I'll consider it. Anyway, look, we get more into that with Joanne. Anyway, look, how was your week?
Well, nothing much to report. I have been getting a lot of information in and doing a bit of research regarding the whole Planet X Nibiru thing, because more and more information is coming through. I mean, indirectly. I'm not, I've been looking at a few bits, but then all of a sudden something would come in from somewhere, and I'd look at it, and there seems to be people like Dr. Joseph Cipollone and Bob Fletcher, who we have on next week. We'll talk about that. And a whole host of other people talking about the whole Planet X Nibiru and the weather changes and what we're experiencing. I mean, New Year's Day, the temperature was so high. It was the highest since for 99 years or something. So there's definitely things going on with weather patterns. I mean, Hawaii had snow there, I think, over the Christmas.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't expect Hawaii to have snow. So there's definitely a lot of changes, weather patterns going on and changes going on. And I sent out the link to all the registered users and on Facebook regarding part 1, part 2 of Bob Fletcher's documentary, which we'll talk to Bob about next week. But, I just don't think that if Planet X is going to be coming in, they're not going to be going on TV and telling us about it, because it's just simple. They won't. They won't tell us. They want you working and doing what you're doing up to the time it happens, if it does happen. And it'll be a big surprise, because if you knew that in, say, for example, for argument's sake, 7 months' time, say it's September. September seems to be the date anyway that everything's pointing to. Now, don't get stuck up on dates. We've been caught out by that before. So, but I'm just saying that, if according to the French Foreign Minister and John Kerry talking about 500 days to avoid climate chaos, which was, he said in May 2014, 500 days is September this year. And also, it's the last of the blood red moons in September, and there's a lot of other things that have been said which end up in September. So, coincidence maybe? There you go. But if Planet X was going to come in and affect the planet in some way, they do not. People would just say, well, I'm not going to work, I'm staying at home, I'm going to enjoy myself, have a bit of fun, stay with the family or whatever. Why go to work if the Earth's going to be destroyed or affected in a major way in a few months' time? So they don't want people to do that. So they don't want people knowing about this. So of course they're not going to come out and say anything. So you have to go off and do your own research, check it out, see who's talking about it. Yes, there's people out there saying, oh yeah, Planet X is a hoax. But look, even if it's a hoax, right, if it turns out that it's a hoax and it's not going to happen, then it's no big deal. It's only information. Don't get, there's no point getting down about it and doomy gloomy and, fear porn and all that kind of stuff. Just do your own research and check it out. And I'd rather be prepared for something. As I always say, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. If you store a bit of food and stuff like that and nothing happens, well then you've extra food to use in your house. Big deal, no problem at all. But if something does happen and you ignore it, then you're going to be kicking yourself. Now, there's different levels of it. There's levels where, if it's going to completely destroy the planet, then it doesn't matter what you store. But then there could be a case that there could be safe pockets in certain areas, which is what they're saying. So we don't know. We just don't know. But at the end of the day, plan to prepare there's a saying about planning to prepare. And I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody in the chat room will know this saying,
That's not the one, is it? Failing to plan is planning to fail? No,
yeah, that's not bad. No, that's good.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, well, that's not bad.
Wow.
That's close. That's good. So I don't know, but we'll talk about that, down the line a bit. But as I say, Bob Fletcher is going to be on next week, and we'll talk to Bob. He's an investigator.
You did send out the links for people to watch, and I watched it. It's good information. The videos are a little bit kind of difficult to watch at times because Bob is saying so much, and there's a lot of information flashing up on the screen for you to read as well. But it's fascinating just to listen to it and see the information, see the pictures, see the video footage, and obviously decide for yourself. But the man's going to be on next week. Anyone who is on the list, who got the links, definitely have a look at them, because it'll definitely inspire. You'll have a lot of questions. There will be a lot of questions next week. In fact, before next week even happens, I envisage a part 2.
Yeah, I'd watch it. Bob is a serious investigator, and he didn't want to touch the Planet X thing because of all the hoaxing, and he just didn't want to go near it. But it kept coming back to him all the time. So he said, right, if I'm going to do this, I want to jump into this and understand the science and what's going on. And his investigations has come out saying that something is definitely on the horizon. So, but I'd recommend seeing his documentaries and make your own mind up. That's what we always say. Just make your own mind up. Do the research, but don't poo-poo it without doing the research, because you can't form an opinion with no information. Okay.
What's your one? Investigation without... yeah, I can't remember.
Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, we're going to go off to... okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Steve is miles ahead of me there. Well done, Steve.
I'm changing the format as well from my end.
Okay, brilliant.
Happy New Year to you, Tim.
Okay, we have our first guest on, which is Joanne. Now, Joanne, I came across Joanne on Facebook. I don't know how we kind of hooked up, but we had similar interests and similar minds in what we were into. And Joanne is an ex-military person trained in pattern recognition, and she was trained to speak Russian fluently. And she's lived in different countries in Europe, and I believe maybe South Africa, I think, as well. We'll find out more about Joanne. And we did do a quick interview with Joanne on United We Strike. Brilliant information. And she's doing so much work, taking photos, putting them up there, explaining to people what they are because of her military training and her background. And what she's saying, and the stuff she's saying, she said, will blow your mind once you kind of adjust to start focusing in on what you're saying. So without further ado, we'll bring Joanne in. Good evening, Joanne. How are you?
Hello, Alan. I'm doing fine today. It's good to talk to you and be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. I'm sure we're in store for a lot of interesting things.
I think for this, yes, I think for this year we're going to be seeing an awful lot. You probably heard me talking about the Planet X thing, and I'd like to get your take on that as well. But let's start off. People who don't know you, let's start off with your background. Tell us a bit about yourself first, so our listeners know, they get to know who you are, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Well, just in a nutshell, in terms of my background, I joined the military by force. I was forced to join. I really didn't have an option. My mother got me out of bed after I graduated at 18 and put me in the car and took me down to the Army, Air Force, Navy, or Marines. And having been a brat, both of my parents and stepfather in the Navy was exposed to that environment and that culture, living overseas for a very long time. And when we finally got back to the States, my mother was still active at the time. I was 18 and graduated came back to the United States.
Joanne, we're having problems with your link there on Skype.
After school.
Joanne, can you hear us? We're having a few problems with the Skype link there.
I'm still here.
Yeah, we're just having a few problems with the Skype link there. It's breaking up for some reason. Do you want to disconnect? We're going to just disconnect and call you again, okay?
Okay, not sure. It must be the when I was talking about the satellites not existing, they must be acting up at the moment. Hopefully we'll have Joanne back on momentarily.
The non-existing satellites. We'll just see how we get on. Don't know why it's acting up, but there you go. I think this happened on United We Strike with Joanne before, maybe.
I believe it did.
I think we did. I think there was something going on there. Joanne.
Okay. How's it sound now?
Yeah, that's okay. It was just breaking up. You were talking and there was bits missing, and obviously we want to make sure.
Let's redo the call if we get to that point again. We'll reinitiate. I want you to be able to have a clear connection with me.
Yeah, you dropped out again there just a minute ago. So I don't know. It could be the.
Yeah.
It could be the.
It says I'm having. It says that there's a few issues here. I can see an error message.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see.
Well, we'll just keep going as long as we can. You decide. You're running the show.
Okay. You shoot away. You carry on.
Well, anyways, I was saying that the beginning of my military career really was by force. My mother was active duty, and she was still subject to travel. She didn't want to take me with her, so she put me in the military. And it turned out at the time to be a good thing for me. I did not know what I was getting into, really. They tested me. I scored very high on language capability. That was because I already had 2 languages under my belt. I was fluent in Italian and also knew Spanish as well, since I lived there for 4 years in Spain, and I picked up Spanish while I was there. So, yeah, they taught me Russian, and I learned fluent Russian, 8 years of college Russian compacted into a 47-week course. And the dropout rate was 80% of every course. So I made it through, did really well on that, and with an emphasis in military vocabulary. Then went off to top secret schools to learn the job. Went off to my first duty station in Germany. Did really well there, and I was given one of the highest medals that you can receive in the military. It's the peacetime equivalent of the Bronze Star. So I received that at a very young age after my first assignment. I was only 23 years old. And just went on from there to do more critical analysis of the weapon systems of the Soviet Union, just to put it bluntly. And I could recognize what I'm hearing, the patterns of the activity that I listen to, and can basically create a holographic kind of 3D scenario of what's going on, who's playing, what they're doing, what type of strategy they're employing. And, we would put these things in very detailed reports and communicate them up the chain to ultimately the source here, here where we are.
Yeah.
So did that for 16 years. And I saw a lot of things. When you escalate up the echelon, where you start working with the brass and the higher ups, and I just didn't like what I saw. It was poisonous to my soul, if I can just put it out there. It's a dog eat dog world, and very little sharing. Everything's compartmentalized. My peers, my analytical peers, were at the CIA, the DIA, FTD. And, when I'd call to compare notes, I didn't get very much cooperation. So, everything's skewed, everything's compartmentalized, everyone's glory hunting for their own future, their retirement, their name, their reputation, and that's just not me. And when it really started to hit me that this is what it's like, that's when I wanted to get out. When you're out in the field overseas, at locations there, the camaraderie is really high. It's very rewarding. You're separated. You're segregated away from the world into your own little camp, so to speak, in a life. If you live, eat, and breathe with people who are doing the same thing with you, and so you can imagine the camaraderie that would develop like that. But then when you come back to the States and you do the things that I did, where they put me in the spotlight at these higher levels of captains, lieutenants, generals, colonels, and so forth, and the higher ranking NCOs. It's quite different. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. And I did not realize things were like that until I went there and got a taste of it. And it just revolted me. And I wanted out. So then I went into, and my heart was really drawn towards spiritual things. I was starting to begin to want to pursue that and find out, things about myself and the spiritual nature of reality. So I really started pressing into that quest and didn't know what I was doing. Again, I was over in Europe still, and we didn't have access to the Internet. We didn't have an Internet back then. And there's not shopping everywhere like there is here in the States. So there's not bookstores everywhere. You're very, very removed from access to media. And it was like that nearly all of my life. And that's why it took me until late in my life that I woke, because I didn't have access to things. But nevertheless, being over there and, let's see, I just lost my train of thought. I was over there the second time. I got out. Where was I at, Alan? I just lost my train of thought, what I wanted to tell you.
Yeah, you were saying about the camaraderie. There's no shops over there.
Camaraderie. Yeah. And, I just didn't know that it was like that. But when I did get a taste, I wanted out, and I started pursuing the spiritual aspects of life. And again, still didn't have access to very much, so I was going to do the only thing that I could do, which is go to a brick and mortar building where there's a pastor and a pulpit and people,
Okay.
And so I started to do that, and I'm listening and paying attention, and I've got my own Bible, and I, being a person who is trained in all of these things that I was trained in, I don't do surface anything. I dig very deep. to behind the scenes on everything. So just reading the Bible was not enough for me. Just listening to sermons was not enough for me. I ordered the Greek and the Hebrew versions of the Bibles, and I would study those languages, and I would dig that way. And then I would sit and just meditate on my note, and I would make pages, notebooks. I mean, I have stacks of notebooks. Even today, I write in several different notebooks every hour, and document all of my thoughts everywhere on every piece of software I can. But I dug into the languages to go beyond what I was hearing and seeing with what little resources I had, which basically amounted to the pastor's mouth and his notes, and maybe a few other books. If anything, if you wanted anything, you had to order it from the United States, and you had to wait a month. And that's kind of a long time ago. But this is how things started for me. So I dug where I could dig into the resources that were available, and I didn't really realize what I was doing, but then I would tap my higher self. I didn't know I was doing that, but I would sit quietly and just reflect on all of the notes that I took and in my self-study. And what I came up with when I looked at to the original blueprint and the original words, what they said to me. And when I would go back into the Christian world and share my findings, like sit down with somebody and go, oh my God, guess what God said to me, and share my notes, they'd just look at me and like, wow, and so I thought, well, if this is what it's like to delve into this, and some of what I'm coming up with actually contradicts the pastor or goes way beyond him, then this is no man's land here, I'm really going to have to go at it myself. So that, it just seemed, but one thing I noticed about that pursuit is that it seemed like an abyss. I mean, it just seemed like a rabbit hole that never ended. And finally, when I got back to the United States and I was able to get to computer access, get on the Internet, and finally in 1999 is when I finally was able to get on, I quickly realized that, wow, there are a whole lot of different people in the same rabbit hole, all coming to different conclusions. Isn't that fascinating? We are all seeing the same thing from different perspectives. And I tried to keep that in mind. Within the military, though, they don't want you having this understanding. They want you very compartmentalized. They want you an expert in only one thing and nothing else, and they will pick and pull the pieces together. The higher ups, whoever they are, even my own supervisors really were just like me in slightly more, just a little bit more access. But yeah, this whole world, I've come to realize, is run by individuals who do not want you to know what is going on. My photography of the skies that I've been taking since August, since I began to realize that something is greatly amiss in the skies. I've taken probably 40,000 photographs by now, and examining these and starting this sun group, I am seeing that we are going through such an incredible shift. My pattern recognition skills from the military, all the things that I have done and put together in presentations and talked to different people, the things that I've researched even in Christianity in 30 years within the Christian paradigm. I finally walked away from that 2 years ago after I had an awakening. Closed down my school, closed down my assemblies, that I had everywhere. I was doing some very intense education with people in different countries who were disenfranchised with what they had experienced within Christianity. I shut all that down. But yet, even now, all of that experience is helping me identify what I am seeing in the skies. And let me tell you, it is blowing my mind. It really is. We are, in the Sun Group, we are learning so much. We are finding out what a fraudulent paradigm that has been described to us and taught to us.
Well, let's touch base on that. But basically, there's all this information coming out now regarding the hollow Earth, and people saying that we're actually not on a round planet. And you mentioned about no satellites up there, and you would start taking these photos, and through your training, you're seeing things in the sky. Now, it is very difficult from a lay person. When I look at your photos, I kind of look and I kind of go, I'm kind of not seeing it. But it was Gordon James Gananoto we originally started talking about this, and I said, look, I know somebody who might be able to, put into a perspective what you're seeing. And then so we hooked up, myself, yourself, and we got Gordon on, and the three of us had a chat. And Gordon was blown away with the information that you had. And so much so that he actually invited you onto his show, which he doesn't do, which was great.
I have yet to actually get on the show. I'm still in hiding. So you know where to find me, though.
I know where you live. but you've been putting up. So you set up a Facebook page and you've been putting up loads and loads of photos, and some of them you've actually done a great job. You've actually highlighted where the item is and say this is it. Now we have to remember, I suppose, we have to get our heads around that if they're using this at such advanced technology, that we're not going to be seeing just metal crafts in the sky. You know, that's what people expect to see.
For the most part, you won't be seeing anything other than just strange shaped clouds and light phenomena. And that's probably the two most easily recognizable things, and that will probably be, for the most part, most of what everyone sees. Unless you get into photography, unless you spend time sky watching, and you can bring some of your sky watching via photos or video into some software editing program where you can examine it in light spectrums that are beyond what your human capability is. That's the only time that you will go beyond seeing just, okay, what's that cloud? That cloud's done, and what's this? It seems like there's light over there when there shouldn't be, that kind of a thing. You know, the surface assessments.
Yeah. Well, that's quite interesting because we have a limited frequency in what we can see anyway. And, an example of that is a remote control. I mean, we know the remote control is changing the TV, so there must be a beam coming out from it, but because we cannot see infrared, we don't see the beam. But we know it's there because it's changing the TV. And I think people have to...
That's called the signature. You can see the signature of the capability by what else is happening. So the signatures of these things are there. Most people just do not know what to look for. They're looking at it, but they don't know what it is they're looking at. So you make a very good point there in that there is evidence of this technology, but we do not recognize what the evidence is.
That's exactly it. Now, Steve, did you just say what you said to me there about the infrared?
No, I was just saying, Joanne, hi, in relation to the remote control, if you look at a remote control and press one of the buttons, you don't see anything happening with the little diode, but you get your camera on your cell phone and you look at it through the camera on your cell phone, you will see the light blinking on and off. So, I mean, that is proof that it does actually illuminate. It's just outside of air spectrum.
Yeah. That's right. So when I bring these photographs into Photoshop and I apply these filters, I'm not changing the photograph, the content in it. I'm merely lifting and manipulating the light spectrum so that I can see what information is already embedded in that photograph. It just, my vision, my ocular vision does not extend beyond 10% of the frequency spectrum.
Yeah.
But the software programs do, because that is all it's all captured within the light spectrum. In fact, some of the photos I have lifted, spent hours and hours and days on, and I have applied filters, and things that you cannot see at all, period, are completely visible by moving it into the light spectrum where you can see it, and it blows me away. It is so easy to pull the wool over eyes, so to speak, and literally that is what's happening in the skies. They are pulling the wool over us through stealth technology, through infrared technology, through plasma technology, through electromagnetic technology, through all of these advanced human weapons that we have, human technologies we have, and also, I believe, with potentially ET technologies that most of us are not aware of. Combining those two together, you could really get you very far in bringing some changes to this sphere that we live on.
And there seems to be an awful lot going on, because in the last couple of weeks I have seen YouTube videos of people shooting YouTube videos just with their camera phones of things going on in the sky. These orbs in the sky and streaks in the sky, and you're looking at it going, well, what the hell is that? And some people are saying, well, the actual, if you want to take it a bit further regarding, space, fighting in space, for want of a better word or a better way to say it, But if that fighting is going on, because we know there's a certain element of that, we've been told about that, whether it's true or not, again, I don't know, but there's people with Generation 3 binoculars who can actually see the night vision, see the infrared, and you can go to YouTube and these guys have it on screen, and you see the ships flying around. So
I've seen it. I've seen it myself. I know exactly what you're talking about. That stuff is going on.
But it seems that they've brought it down from space, and now you're seeing it in the daylight. People are getting video footage of this happening in the daylight, and you're thinking, what is that? Because we've never seen it before. So unless it's getting close, or there's something going on that they're bringing it closer down to where I don't know. Now, apparently there's supposed to be another saying going around. They're going to do a big reveal in 2017 regarding the ET side. But what's your take on the Planet X? Any photos that you're taking in relation to the whole Planet X thing?
Well, I can definitely guarantee you this, and that is that we will not be finding out about what's going on from mainstream sources. We will be finding out what's going on ourselves as we come together and investigate it. And basically the onus is upon us to figure this out. No one's going to tell us. They're going to continue to lie and cover up. So I think it's a great thing that we're coming together in groups and, doing videos, doing radio shows and blogs and getting things out there. Because in my group, when someone posts a photo and I look at that and I think, you know what, I recognize some patterns in that photo, and I go pull up 15 photos of mine where I have that pattern in, all of a sudden, boom, amazing amount of connections happen. And I begin to get a better understanding of what's going on. And it just continues to build week by week, day by day, hour by hour, and sometimes literally second by second, I'm getting just phenomenal light flashes of understanding. And there's times when I have to stop and walk away because I literally, it is so out of the framework of what I can grasp.
It has been overwhelming for you. I know you've been saying that.
It has. I tell you, honestly, I've cried and cried and cried and cried. I don't know if this is all over an illusion or a great holographic work, but I think it's beyond that. I think there's some real things happening, and grasping these changes just, it's like I'm reading a real distorted rendition of the Book of Revelation and a sci-fi novel and a nightmare all together. Now, somewhere in all the mix of this, there has to be good things. There has to be hope. There has to be shreds of something that I can latch onto to say that, this is not going to be the demise and the annihilation of me. So I'm also working on that. I'm working within myself to find that hope and to find these glimmers. So because on the surface of this, it really appears that we are outnumbered and we are done for. I mean, how can I stand here and fight against all of this, really advanced technology in the hands of very nefarious, evil individuals who want only to keep me imprisoned here to siphon my energy, to keep their construct alive? I mean, how can I fight against that? So I'll have to tell you, this is almost like Goliath and David and Goliath scenario inside of my soul, inside of my spirit. It's causing me to have to rise up and find wherever the inner strength is in me. And some days I just feel like I don't have it, and I just plunder and I cry and I'm like, oh God, why? There is no God. I'm God, and I just go around in circles, all these things, trying to really find my footing. And then there's other days, I was doing quite well, and I'm zipping around making all these connections. And but at the end of the day, there is a massive change going on. There is a massive war on our consciousness, our bodies, our minds, our spirits, our souls. We have to wake up and recognize this. We have to wake up and recognize this. And the number one thing we have to do is overcome the fear. We have to. I mean, and it's an ongoing process. I don't know if we will fully overcome it because we still have the reptilian part of our brain. Who knows if that will be disengaged at some point. But we have to, in other words, you don't want this to hit you unaware. at some point, when they're ready to totally ramp this up and do the whole unveiling and turn all the switches on. At that point, it'll be too late because you will have never become acclimated to any of this, and it will overwhelm all of your senses so much you will catapult to whatever they are doing, false flag, psyop, whatever, or you will literally just have a heart attack. Your heart will just be so full of fear that you will not physiologically make it through that moment.
But
so we have to work now. We have to wake up now and start recognizing that things are different. Okay, getting together with people and talking about it and not being ashamed. There is so much condemnation and shame on talking about anomalies as though you will be labeled a freak or on the fringe or it's the same thing they do with the anti-Semitic label to stop people from talking about the Jewish control of the world and Zionist control. And so it's the same thing here. We are all seeing things, and should I say something? I'll look like a fool. What about my reputation? There's all these kinds of little things that come up, and we really have to be bold. I mean, they have gone beyond boldness. They have gone into extreme psychopathy in this agenda to wipe us all out and control us. Come on.
But they've ramped it up. They have ramped things up, and we've noticed that over here in Europe. Yes. There's a lot of things going on, and new rules and regulations and restrictions and things they're going to do. Now, just my own theory, what I'm thinking, my own opinion, based on what I've seen, is that over here we are demonstrating regarding water meters because they want to privatise the water and sell it off. Now, we do have Bob Fletcher on next week. We're going to be talking to Bob about that. Because there's a lot of, now I know in America it's happening over there as well. They seem to want to privatise everything and own everything, and water is the new gold. And that's what they're trying to do over here. And
it's
I do believe...
Agenda 21.
It's
part of Agenda 21.
Yeah, Agenda 21. And also what they want to do is they want to bring in martial law. And so they are making people get to the level where they're very angry that people will start rioting and stuff like that. Or maybe they'll have their own provocateurs who'll do that and blame it on the normal people. And they'll say, look, there's nothing we can do. We have to bring in curfews, we have to bring in martial law because of this going on. Now, I know Ferguson over in the States was a boiling kettle regarding that, and it didn't go off. Funny enough, it didn't happen. But I know they're probably going to try and bring in martial law because they said that the local, there was something like a few million rounds of bullets, hollow point bullets bought by the National Guard or something over there. Department of Homeland Security, they've bought a few million rounds of hollow point bullets.
Postal office. Seems like everybody's getting armed up.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we don't have any guns over here. We have an armed police force, a certain section, but our police generally don't have guns. And in the UK, it's the same thing. But that won't stop them bringing in martial law. And also, it's the kind of, I see it as the magician's trick. It's the sleight of hand. Keep the people busy with what's going on regarding the water meters and everything else, while something else over here is happening in the background.
There's always a distraction. There's always going to be scenarios. They're chipping away at everything they can chip away with. It's a multi-tier, multi-level. It's actually quite brilliant, a plan that they have in place to keep us all distracted. I mean, totally from strategy standpoint, it's brilliant. To keep us all distracted, to keep us all in fear, to keep us all at the base chakra of survival. All our energy is going to just barely eking by, and we're all fear-mongered, we're drained, we're not happy, we're not joyful, and we're not creating. We're not accessing our spirit. We're just living at that low-level energetic output, but yet they're feeding off of it. They're getting our taxes, they're getting our money, they're getting our energy, they're getting everything from us. We're not getting really anything for ourselves. So at some point, when are we going to realize that?
Exactly.
That this is all about shutting us down spiritually, shutting us down mentally, emotionally, and just harvesting our energy. So at some point, we're going to step back and say, yeah, enough's enough. And everybody breaks in a different way. Some people break and they just go ballistic with anger. Some people break and they have a breakthrough. in something, and something new comes out, something brilliant comes out, an idea comes out, and you know, there's a different way that people express their breaking points. So we really don't know. You know, there are so many different scenarios in terms of how this can unfold based on the people's response. But you can only do so much to them before there is a response, before there is a breaking point, and they know that as well. So they are constantly shifting the playing field with that in mind, that this is as far as we can take them on this front. They're going to break. Now let's go over here and do this. It is so multifaceted. And that's why the internet is so important, community is so important, communication is so important, comparing notes is so important, because from that aspect we can get a bigger than ourselves picture of what's happening, and you know, our analysis can be more acute, can be more effective, and we can be more organized and efficient with whatever response we do come to the table with.
I think half the battle is definitely waking people up to what's going on, even on a minor scale. If it's just they're not happy with paying for water meters, if that's half the battle of waking them up and that's the level they go to, that's fine. Because you don't need to go down the full rabbit hole to be woken up. You just have to say, I'm not happy with what the government's doing and I'm not going to. Just civil disobedience, I think. And that's where we're going at the moment in Ireland and probably in the US as well. And globally, there's a lot of countries that are, you know, on the same leg. They're actually going out protesting and giving out about what's going on. But Joanne, we have a few questions that we're going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to pass them over to you.
Okay, we'll see what I can do.
I'd say you'll be well able to answer these questions. They're easy ones to begin with. Well, the first one is from me. When you spoke earlier of when you take pictures of the sky and you apply different filters in Photoshop, for anyone who's familiar or who tinkers with Photoshop, what filters would one have to apply to see any changes?
Okay, well, when I first pull a photo into Photoshop, the very first thing that I do is I apply contrast and brightness. Okay, that's extremely simple. I think everybody is familiar with turning down the brightness and upping the contrast. So there's a contrast between the light and the darkness, more enhanced. That brings out the first level of details that I'm looking for. So I will go and play with that for a while until I'm sufficiently satisfied that I've done as much as I could to it with that. Now, there's few of the features. You can play with that as long as you want. And you know, you really can't go wrong. Especially when something is of a holographic nature. When you're photographing something of a holographic nature, it's going to appear differently depending on how you look at it with different lights. It's like 5 people standing in a room all seeing something from different angles. You're all right. You're all just looking at the same thing from a different angle. So pulling these things in and using the lighting filters is great. Brightness, contrast, that's the first thing I go to. Then you go over here to levels, curves, exposure, vibrance, hue, saturation. I turn things into black and white. I invert them. I go to the gradients. I go to just channel mixtures. Let's see here. And I also have a favorite over here under camera raw filter. That is one of the options that it offers me. And within that, there are a whole array of sub-options that I can use. And they're basically the same thing. Brightness, contrast, light, dark, highlights, shadows. And some of them have a kind of fancy names, you know, but I have pretty much a routine of what I use every single time. I discover new things. I have about 4 or 5 different photo editing programs. I don't use them all every day, but once in a while, I venture into one of them and say, okay, and I try something, tinker around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. I never saw that before. And so it's an intuitive process for sure. But there are some basics that everybody could do that would be easy. Yeah, you can basically Google that online, you know, how to do your filters. You could figure something out with a Google search. But brightness, contrast, immediately will show you things.
Yeah,
immediately.
You say that the camera, the raw filter as well. Well, we know like that you can kind of do those things in Photoshop. There is a free alternative that I've used and I find it quite good. I don't know if you've tried this. It's called Paint.net. It's kind of like a watered down version of Photoshop, but it can do a lot of the same things. It does have kind of filters in there as well. You can make some adjustments. So I know a lot of people.
Picasso is another free one.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
The only thing that I found with that program is that when you make a change, it automatically does it to your original. It doesn't give you the option to like save as or I don't know. I found something. I was like, I'm messing with my originals. Oh no! So I left that one alone, even though it was amazing and it was free.
Yeah, Dawn on the chat room just said, for those who can't afford Photoshop, GIMP is the most excellent free program out there, according to Dawn. I've heard of GIMP. I haven't used it myself. But I suppose anything that has a lot of filters that you can mess about with pictures, as you say, if there's something there, when you start tweaking it and kind of tinkering with it, if there's something there, you probably will see it anyway. So just keep playing around with it. But Mr. T asked us there a while ago, could you ask Joanne about the collider thing in Switzerland? Could you talk about that?
CERN. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just beginning my research on CERN. I have not really paid too much attention to them. However, I do study for many hours a day, every single day, the infrared satellite radar feeds. And I'm going to pull this all together for you, so bear with me. I study that for at least 2 hours a day, every day, and I screenshot everything and categorize all the clouds and everything I see. I compare that to my sky photography, and I just started studying the sun, the helio view, and I study these photos. That's all I do 24/7 is study photography and all these patterns, because I'm really seeing a whole lot of things, and it's blowing my mind. And I don't see this anywhere out on the internet. So suddenly one day I had this oh my God moment. I mean, I have them every day, every hour, but this one really took me back, and I couldn't do anything at that point because I was just too freaked out. I was looking into the patterns on the helio viewer at this particular snapshot that they used in the film Sunshine in 2007. I was staring at that photo for a very, very long time. And all of a sudden it hit me. I saw every single pattern of everything that I see in the skies. All the clouds, all the hardware, all the geometric shapes, everything that I have ever seen up to this point, I saw it in that photo of the sun. The way that all the patterns were so strongly contrasted. It was like a composite blueprint. And that really blew me away because I know what a composite blueprint can do. Okay, it's that which you work to produce everything else from. But yet I was having a problem with that because I could see it all around me. Here over top of my head, on the East Coast, on the West Coast, over different countries. In other words, it was like it was coming in upon us, all around us, like a 360-degree hologram. Now, my vision has drastically changed since August 23rd, since the day that I photographed these explosions on the sun. And something has happened to my vision, and it's almost like I can see in 3D now, or even beyond, 4D. I don't know what to call it. I'm still like scrambling around trying to figure out what's happened to me. But these things, they leave the sun and they come out over me. Now, I don't know if that's happening to other people or if CERN has done something. I told you I was going to make a connection here. If they have done something and they have opened up something, that's where I'm at right now. I'm making a connection to CERN. Now, I've already got the connection Project Bluebeam. I'm already investigating that and HARP and the chemtrails and all of that. I've been down that road a long time, making all these connections. But the thing is that I am seeing holographically now. And when I looked at that picture of the sun that day and I saw every single pattern, now my job is to match all of this up in Photoshop, to make diagrams, to diagram everything that I'm seeing, from this photo here, pasting it in, getting 30 photos in, and showing you what I'm seeing and matching this all up, because something is very mechanical. There is a blueprint. There is a machine. There is something that is running this whole construct. I have seen many pictures of it. I know it. I have made many connections to this machine. I can see it in many different ways. Now what I have to do is a little bit more research, and CERN is kind of like the last bastion here in terms of making the connection of what they have done. What were they capable of doing? What were they postulating that they could do? what were the theories of what would happen if something went wrong? Because I'm definitely seeing something that I think is wrong.
Well, I can help you.
There are hold on. There are holes. I am seeing holes everywhere. When I look at the infrared radar, I see the health of our planet. I see everything that's going on, and it's taken me a while to learn how to interpret looking down from the sky 3D cloud movement. That's very, very complicated to do, and I'm figuring out how to do it. And so I'm categorizing what I'm seeing. I'm seeing things enter into our domain. I don't want to call it dimension, because I really don't know if this, how many dimensions are here? How many dimensions do we occupy as human beings? I don't know. So I see things entering. I see hardware entering. I see all kinds of ships entering. I see beings of all different kinds of shapes and sizes. At the same time, I look at the Helio viewer, and I see them there, too. I see them coming out. So if we are really this close that I can see this and take photographs of it and put it in Photoshop and identify it, and I can recognize the patterns and the shapes and the beings over and over and over every single day, then our reality is not what we were told. And the sun is not as big as it is. It's not as far away. It's definitely not 92 million miles away. It's very close. In fact, the sun is not even our sun anymore. It's something different's happened. We have different light sources. We have plasma-sourced vehicles in our atmosphere all the time. I've identified their signatures. So I'm seeing a whole lot of things. I'm keeping a very open mind about what it all is, because it's much broader and much more than what any of us know. And most of us, we're just seeing a very small portion of what's going on. That's why it's important for us to get together and compare notes.
Definitely. Well,
I'll take a breath there.
That's okay. We had a guest on 2 years ago, actually, a chap called Simon Parks. He's a counsellor in the UK, but also he's an ET contactee, and he's been involved in a lot of this stuff. And he came on and he talked to us about the CERN and the Hadron Collider. And he said that 2015 was a poignant year because they're actually going to be building CERN, but 25 times bigger. He said that's where all the money is going to, because it's actually going to keep a portal open for the negative ETs. And they have to have it working by 2015, or else they'll never get working at all. Now, I've been in contact with Simon, and I've asked him to come on the show, so he's hopefully going to be on at the end of the month, and we're going to get a heads up from Simon. We're 2 years down the line since the last time he was on, and I want to ask him about CERN, because everybody seems to be pointing at CERN and talking about what they're doing over there. Now, as I say, if people want to go back to the podcast archive in OYM, and listen to the show 2 years ago, it's available on the website. So you just have to log in, register for free, and you can actually download the pod and play it and listen to what Simon says about CERN. And that was in January 2013 when he came on. But we're going to get him on again to get an update, because he said 2015 was important. So if they're playing, again, maybe it's the Atlantis thing where they're playing with technology and they don't know how to control it, and they're going to do something really stupid. I don't know.
Well, that's a very plausible thing to consider, yeah, based on our history and based on just the way that many of these elements conduct themselves today. They segregate themselves to a position where they feel like they have authority over us, and through financial might that they can rule the world, and of course the fear. But it's all an illusion, so they're playing with technology that allows them to create grand illusions. And yes, I think that it's a very dangerous thing. I think we're on dangerous turf. So, we're always going to be asking ourselves, what can I do? And every person can, and I get so mad when I hear people say, there's nothing I can do. I'm just one person. We have no idea what we are, how powerful we are inside, inwardly, because we don't even know what constitutes our being. Yeah. We think we do, but we have capabilities and powers that we really don't know until we are pushed into the corner, and there's no other choice to discover them and seek them out. So every single day when we get to the point of, oh my God, here we go again, another discovery of what they're doing, and we almost feel like the little ant, the little grasshopper, in front of the giant, and we feel, pity poor me, there's nothing I can do, and I feel that way a lot. But I know that I didn't get this far for nothing. There has got to be something here that has brought me to this point of understanding, realization, growth, empowerment, and I've to use it for something at some time in history. And I think that this is now. So I'm asking myself every day, every time I have a discovery, okay, I'm not just sitting there making the discovery, making the connections, but I am also saying, holding this up like a mirror, what am I going to do? What am I, in my sphere, in my little world, what can I do in my mind, in my soul, in my spirit? Am I just going to sit here and let them take over and not say anything, do anything? Just put my head on the chopping block. Go ahead, do it. Take it away.
But here's the funny thing, Joanne, and this is the way it works sometimes. It might not be you directly that does something, but it could be somebody will see what you're doing. And that person will be in a position to be able to do something maybe on the next level. And then what she does will influence, she does, will influence somebody on the next level. And we've had that. We've had people, listen to our show and get in touch with us and say, God, it's great information, didn't know about this, I'm going to pass this on. And then just this kind of domino effect going on with the information. And other people get involved, and that's how it kind of works. So it mightn't be something that you do directly, but it could be what you're doing on Facebook with your photos and everything else that will inspire somebody else, and then they will make the next move or take the next step to wake somebody up or to do something to wake the masses up. So, we should never kind of look at what we're doing as, well, we're limited, what can we do? Sometimes what we're doing is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. It seems like such a simple statement, but there is so much truth to it.
Yeah.
So much truth to it. I think that even, there are individuals who are highly empathic and are great listeners. And they just being there to like, for people like me, when I need somebody to talk to, I need to cry on somebody's shoulder, just having someone there to let me kind of download with is the most amazing service to humanity. Because keeping this all inside and all of the terrorizing moments that I've been through is very, very damaging to me.
Yeah, well, just about
I have to be able to get this out, and I don't have a whole lot of people that I talk to. I only have maybe one or two people in my inner circle, and they don't see everything I see, and I can't make them see, and they're not involved in my projects, but they're kind of like inner circle friends. So, just whatever you're good at, whatever you're talented with, whatever you are, you have something. You have a gift to give humanity. And that's what makes this worth doing and worth living for and worth going forward for, because we are so amazing. We all have something so unique and so special about us. And the elite want to emasculate us. They want to cauterize all of these things. They want to siphon us. But we need to dig down deep inside and find these gifts and use them. Use them for ourselves and use them to serve our brethren, our fellow man with, because, we can do good things. We can help each other. We're not all gifted with analytical this or technical that or, position here. But some people can listen, and they can comfort, and they can console, and they can encourage. And one of the greatest things that I love to do, and that goes so far for me, is being encouraged. Encouraging other people and encouraging me. A little bit goes a long way. So everyone has a way of impacting our future and our present.
Well, I do agree with you, definitely on your kind of inner circle, or have a circle of people that you can touch base on and get this information out. Because one of the things I said to you anyway was, look, come on the show. Let's talk about what you're saying and get the information out there, because you're probably a bursting point where you want to get out and say it. And I know you've been doing a couple of radio interviews, which is great. Yeah, I know you were speaking to Matt, and you did the Wolf Spirit Radio interview with Matt, and
yeah,
I think
was great.
Which is great, and again, it's about getting the information out there. And then, you know, at the end of the show, what we're going to do is we're going to get your links and send people over there, and people can see themselves the photos. If they want to join the group, they can do. Obviously, you have to approve them, and then make up their own mind. But I think the whole kind of idea behind this is that we need to be looking up. We need to be keeping an eye on what's going on. And funny enough, I was driving. I'm just noticing the sun, and I'm more, being aware of the sun and the moon and the positions the moon is in the sky in comparison to the sun, and what's going on. And when I'm kind of driving, I am kind of looking out and seeing what's going on and saying, God, that's kind of strange, and and I'm not kind of an astronomer by no means. I can't even pronounce it, and. But it's just curious that I've seen kind of things going on with the moon and the sun, which I'm saying, that doesn't just seem right. Just locations in the sky and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem right to me. And maybe it is, I don't know. But they talk about the Chandler effect, which is the wobble. And Steve was talking about the whole idea of the planes. I don't know whether you heard Steve talking about the plane. It's the hollow earth theory, Steve, and you're saying that they're saying that the earth is not spinning at all. Do you want to kind of roughly touch base with Joanne about that?
No, what I was saying at the beginning there, John, before we got you in, was I was watching a documentary. First of all, I was on your Facebook page, and I seen a link on your Facebook page talking about satellites don't exist. So that intrigued me, so I started watching that, and I want to talk to you about that as well. But from that video, I went on to another video, and all of a sudden I was watching a video where a chap was talking about... he says, if it's true, if the Earth does actually spin on an axis, as we've been told, that he said when planes take off, if they're going one direction at a certain speed, the flight will take 10 hours. But he says when they're going back in the other direction, traveling the same speed, the flight should not take as long because the Earth is rotating. And it was fascinating to listen to. What's your thoughts on it?
I'm just beginning my research as of, August, since this event happened to me on the 23rd. And so it is crossing over into the shape of, I don't think we live on a planet, but, just for the sake of now, this planet, this sphere, I am looking into the shape of this, and I'm considering different theories that I have come across. So far, what makes the most sense is there's an individual out there that's done some work on this, and he's basing it on another scientist's work, whom most of the establishment scientists today will not touch because, of course, it contradicts the establishment status quo of what we've been taught. But I'm leaning to that we are in a sphere, and when we look out into the sky, we are looking inside of us. Okay? We are not looking external to us. That's hard to explain, and I can't explain it. I would much rather go for people to go watch the videos where this guy has actually done CGI, CGI on this, and can show this to you, and with the way that he's arranged everything. So it's really great. It makes so much sense. It accounts for all of these anomalies that are everywhere around us and all of these paradoxes. And it pretty much adds them all up. So I would just encourage everyone to go look at that. The hollow earth, something is definitely, I can say, not what we have been taught in school. So I don't even go by anything NASA. I don't go by anything the UN says. I am on this all on my own to investigate and find out myself what's going on. I'm completely intelligent enough to do this. The areas where I don't have expertise, I'm going to go out there, and I'm definitely going to be researching what other people who are experts in this area, what they have to say. If it contradicts my findings, I'm going to keep searching. I'm going to stay open-minded. But for now, the sun is not what we've been told. The moon is not what we've been told. We are not what we have been told. The stars are not. Everything is extremely small. In fact, I've photographed planets passing by. This was in September. And I'm still trying to find them amongst the 40,000 that I have. But yeah, oh my God, the sun being 92 million miles away, that is total fraud. NASA's a fraud. I'm just going to say that right now. They are the biggest frauds on the planet. I recorded the Orion launch Thursday and Friday, both days. They scrubbed Thursday because it said some kind of leak. I recorded all of that on 2 laptops in case one of them failed, and it did. I had backup recordings. I went through frame by frame on everything, and it's just amazing that people fall for this. Of course, I never paid attention to it before, but they green screen and CGI everything. It is they are the biggest waste. Billions of dollars spent, and now when you said that earlier, Alan, that this is where all the money's going, CERN, I believe it, and also into all the plasma technology and the anti-gravity craft that are in our skies now, and taking out the sun and putting something else in its place. There are some things I'm going to be coming out with soon, and this is not just Sun Group related. I'm putting this together for a website and for my YouTube channel and all of these productions, but you can't just show it through photography. You have to sit down and do presentations and put this together and line up your evidence. You guys were talking about evidence earlier. Yeah, you've got to put together your evidence and show what you see. And you just can't talk it like we're doing here on radio. You have to actually go beyond that and put this on the table where everybody can see it and look at it and analyze it and assess it and come to conclusions. So I have that yet to do. And so the shape of what we live on is definitely a part of this investigation.
Okay,
everything is anomalous. I mean, we are just at such a point in history where we really have to say nothing is what we have been taught. Everything's been a lie, including who I am and what I am made of.
And we have to break out of that programming because, even though a lot of people say, well, I am very open-minded, but we've been programmed for such a long time to say...
That's what it's about.
We have to break away from the programming and challenge our programming, and that's why myself and Steve talk about a fluid belief system. Because we're not kind of tied to a belief system. We believe what we know today, but if something comes in new that challenges our belief system, we'll have a look at that, and if we go, yeah, actually that makes sense, we will take that as our new belief system. So we're not defending the belief system, and that's how you can suss out somebody. If somebody go, I have an open mind, and then you challenge their belief system and they start defending it, you can say, well, okay, now I know you don't have an open mind because you're defending your belief system. Where you
any defense is you taking ownership of something that really is to be fluid. You are to flow in it, not take ownership of it.
Yeah, and exactly. And so instead of saying, what you should be saying is, well, that's interesting because that's not what I believe now, but that's interesting. Show me the information, and if I think that's quite relevant and that supersedes the what I believe now, well, then I'll take that on board. But a lot of people say they're very open-minded, but when you challenge them, they're not. They're very closed-minded, which is, quite interesting. But on the satellite, Steve mentioned it earlier about the satellites. You're saying
I didn't answer that. Let me answer
go ahead,
that.
John.
Okay, I am not convinced that they do not exist. So the premise of the video was that they do not exist. That guy showed a lot of good evidence, and I learned a lot of things from him. I was very, very grateful to have come across that video. And I'm going to be studying it some more. But I'm just still not convinced of what he is saying, that they don't exist. I want to look into some other things that I need to look into for my own sake, so that I can conduct my own investigation about that. But what I do feel is that the whole issue of the satellites, when they launch, what they're for, just everything that goes into it, I don't believe that. I think we definitely have a cover-up going on there as to, just look at the Orion launch last month. Okay, that was a fraud. They may have launched it before, and what was interesting is the week before I photographed something in the sky that was a rocket. Hello. Okay, I got that. And then 2 days before that, I caught something else that was pink and blue and had a very long straight tail, like amazing technology, not rocket technology, but something beyond that, probably plasma technology. But it was behaving like rocket technology. It was very interesting. So I'm catching things all the time, and it's that's anomalous too, I think. But I'm out there looking now. I'm paying attention. But my point was, they could have launched it the week before in a different location. There's so much we don't know. I mean, who's really monitoring the whole world at all times in all possible launch locations? There are many launch locations, and many of them that nobody knows anything about. So they could be launching something to take measurements of what is and doing something to whatever it is that they're measuring. They could be measuring the glass ceiling. They could be measuring the all of these different aspects of our environment, and of course, pulling the wool over our eyes in terms of what that data is and what it represents. And then we could go on and base assumptions and scientific models and everything off of this fraudulent information. That's why I don't trust them. And I mean, I just sat there. Do you understand what it's like to? We are intelligent people. I am extremely intelligent. They gave me a top secret SCI clearance. I mean, I had learned the third most difficult language in 47 weeks, fluent, and did all this, really incredible stuff with my mind and my analytical abilities. To sit here and watch these people green screen and CGI, and they did a bad job at that. My daughter could do a better job doing it. Green screen CGI this entire multi-million-dollar operation and want me to believe that that's real when I can see helicopters and geese flying in and out of the launch pad zone on the footage that they're showing me, which is a violation of airspace, which the day before they shut it down because there was a boat, miles away in the space. And now there's helicopters in the footage that they're showing me and all kinds of other anomalies flying in and out of, just feet away. And the screens on the, contractors don't move. They're sitting there watching flat data that doesn't move, and I'm thinking, what the hell? You're trying to make me think that this is real? I was like beyond insulted. It's just patronizing to the extreme level to have to deal with this.
Yeah.
And this is what we have all over the news, and that put me on a new rabbit trail. I started downloading all kinds of photographs from news events, pulling them into Photoshop, and lo and behold, seeing that these were CGI photography. This was all a scam on so many news events, particularly the Malaysian downing. Okay, I looked at the debris field of that and compared that to these other photos as all fraud, all fake. And I thought, what the hell? And then one day I woke up from a nap, and the date was spoken to me right before I wake up. I pay attention to my dreams. I pay attention to all of these subtle things now. And July 17th was spoken to me over and over. So I went on and I Googled July 17th and downloaded all the photographs from the major events that day. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe this. So I started looking up, doing research on 3D mapping and, all the other type of technology that they would use for this whole field of, imagery and holography and computer art and everything. And sure enough, as I watched some of the how do you do it videos, the how-tos, this is how we do it, demos, I'm like, oh my God, that's the same sky I have right now that I photographed yesterday in my region. And I'm sitting there going, I'll be darned. So, yeah, this is how they do it.
Yeah.
We have screens everywhere. It's almost like a massive screen all over us. The chemtrails are part of it. The glass sky, the dome, is a part of it. The technology, Project Bluebeam, HARP, all of that is all a part of this massive, massive psyop on humanity on so many levels. It just makes your head spin.
But the chemtrails are affecting people where Morgellons, and they are affecting the land and the waters and stuff like that. So that's having a physical effect.
Yeah, the metals in the air is a really huge deal on so many levels, not only for our health, but it also helps facilitate the holography and more. And the and more part is what I'm investigating into, because when you activate radiation, and this is what I'm seeing on infrared satellite feeds, I'm seeing that there's this almost like this I don't know how to explain it, but it's, I'm coming from not knowing anything about radar to where I am today, to where I'm categorizing and making a catalog of all the cloud shapes and anomalies that I see there. But I see around us something that feels very serpentine, and I'm using the word feel because I'm a layperson on this. It feels very serpentine when I look at it.
Yeah.
It moves in serpentine fashion, almost like a toroidal fashion around us. And the patterns in this, whatever it is, torsion field, I see those patterns in stuff that's coming from Japan, that's coming in from over there. That's the same pattern that I see all around us in the radar. I see it, and now it's flowing everywhere. I see it in my photography when I look up into the skies and the clouds. It's almost like it's coming in and it's becoming used as something. It's being resourced. It's turning into something. It's being weaponized almost. That's actually the first. I'm telling you this raw. This is like raw assessment here. It's becoming weaponized in a way. Somebody has the tech capability and the wherewithal and the agenda to where something has kind of I don't know if this was always here around us. I don't know that. I haven't investigated that far yet. My research just started on this. But this torsion field, this radiation torsion field around us, it's the same material that I see inside of the sun that make up all the patterns that I see. It's the same material when I see coronal mass ejections and the so-called craft coming into our field. Same thing, so it's not that far away. It's not 92 million miles away. It's very up close. It's very around us. It's all around us, as a matter of fact. That's what I'm seeing on radar. And I screenshot this. This is all work I have yet to give birth to on the internet and on a website and in presentations. It's all forthcoming. But this is what I'm seeing. You're getting raw analysis here, and it just feels like that somehow that they know how to take this and make it into something, and they're making it into something. I don't know what it is yet. It feels like a covering over us. It feels like it's going to become mass solid, malleable. If that's the right way to say it.
Well, one of our listeners, Joanne, said, in the Simpsons movie, they were in a dome, like a glass dome. And Joanne said, is it going to be like that? Is it like that? Do you think we're in a kind of glass dome?
Oh, we are already. We have been for a long, long time. That knowledge has been withheld from us for forever. Oh, yeah. There's been scientific... You've got to go out there and do your research. Go look at the videos. Go look at the websites. Glass dome, glass sky. The militaries already have operations called with looking glass. Hello.
Yeah.
So this is not new. This is not new information. This is not a new discovery. That aspect of our reality, no, that's not new. And once you understand this, now you can look up into the sky and you can look at the contrail and chemtrail angles and understand why they do not line up the way that you think that they should if you did not live in that construct that has a glass sky over it. And the reflections, you look on infrared radar and the satellite feeds, and you'll begin to understand this is very, very difficult. You're talking holography mixed with refraction and reflection and wave interference. You're talking all of these, all the fields of physics are at play here. And we have been duped on almost every level with this information because we have not been told the true construct that we live in.
I think you're going to have to do a video, Joanne, with all this information rather than pictures.
I plan on it, but right now I'm still in the freak zone of like, oh my God, this is really real. I'm still in an internal terror, trying to assimilate this in my soul, in my mind. Now my spirit is like, that constant, my higher self, I suppose is not getting freaked out over this, and that's probably where the peace that does come is coming from my spirit, and I truly do hope that that's part of that energetic substance that you cannot annihilate, because I'm putting my hope in that, it's like if all this shit happens, I still got my spirit,
exactly.
And but I do plan on bringing forth a lot of presentations. I have a lot of extremely strong skills in presentation, but I just am in this deep research mode at the moment. And oh my God mode at the moment that I'm just beginning to get back into web development. And, it's really difficult. Web development requires a lot of concentration, left brain, and, the artist side of me, the spirit side of me. I get into one mode and I want to stay there. Going back into web development, especially with all the technical issues I have had this last year, it's kind of like I really don't want to do it, but this is the only way the world's going to see what I know. So I'm forcing myself. I've been looking at some new platforms, developing and building to migrate the Sun Group off of Facebook, actually, because I can't stand scrolling for 15 minutes trying to find something that we posted yesterday. This is absolutely insane when we're at this level of research, analysis, collaboration. I really need some very, very well built, sturdy platforms to work with now. So, and building that is going to allow me to bring forth all of my presentations with all of this data.
Well, I think we have contacts that, I'm sure the likes of Gordon will probably be able to give you a hand anyway. We're going to go over to Steve. Steve has a couple of questions there, and a photo's just come in as well, Steve, I believe.
Yeah, we just received a photo from Andy Pandy on the OYM chat. Andy sent in an amazing picture. He did send us a link to it, but the link only shows kind of it's a Facebook link. It shows a small version of the picture with what looks like little small white dots. But when he actually sent over the larger picture there and you zoom in, it's like orbs kind of all joined together with something. Maybe it's plasma, I don't know, but it's an amazing picture. I've seen it. I don't think Alan has seen it. Have you seen it? Did you?
No.
No, Alan hasn't seen it yet. I've just kind of been privy to it here. It's an amazing looking picture.
Did you want to drop me a link on a Skype chat window and I can take a quick look?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I'll do that. I just want to throw a question at you first, and then, because I cannot multitask, I do apologise.
I'll do that.
You're going to do it. Alan's going to do it, because I can't. I couldn't talk and ask you a question and be moving the mouse and dragging pictures at the same time. It's just.
I know. Maybe in the next life you'll incarnate as a female, and we can fix that problem for you.
Yes, that is a problem. I think of all the extra body parts.
I hope you took that right. I didn't mean that.
No, I'd love to be a female. Have loads of. Anyway, let's
not go down that road.
No. Right, okay.
We are the great helpmate, after all,
Yes, you do, unfortunately. Yeah. Couple of questions anyway. I'm going to go through them as quick as I can. Has CERN speeded up time, says one of our listeners.
I don't have an answer for that. No, I don't. But what I can tell you, that questions I have on that, and that is if they have done what they have done, let's say worst case scenario, okay, created a black hole, penetrated the glass sky, opened up some new dimensions potentially, then the fabric of space-time has been transgressed. It has been violated. It has been penetrated. So in light of that, I would naturally have questions that would go along that line. Has time altered? Have timelines altered? Have we opened up portals that those who are, say, of a higher, more advanced, essence can come in and out? Can they come in and not leave? Can we leave? That's my question. And if so, what is there to go to? And outside of the fabric of space-time. What I am seeing in my photographs and on the infrared radar, and it seems like there's somewhere other, in the helio viewing of the sun, or what we were told was the sun, the imagery that NASA gives us, that machine, I'm going to call it a machine because that's what it is, I see rips and that corroborate to the coronal, these holes. They're called the coronal holes. See, I don't have all the technical lingo for that. I'm just getting into this, but they match up to what we see in the sky, very close on certain days in our photography, which is only just a couple thousand miles away. Where we're estimating this distances. Yeah. So there are a lot of correlations here. I'm seeing rips. I'm seeing holes. And I'm seeing a lot of cover-up of what this is. I'm seeing these rips and holes have light emanating through them that one day this is our sun, and another day this other one is our sun. But what I am seeing is repeating patterns. And once I see these repeating patterns enough, I start to figure out what it is. Where it's at, who is in control of it, where it's coming from, and then I've got a really big picture. So that was the long answer. And the short answer is I would probably say that is a very possibility that we are having some alterations in time and in our timeline. So the next level of questioning that you need to go to, remember, think about this like multidimensional chess game. Always ask, okay, if that's true, now what? If that's true, then what? So then we can go to the next level. If there is a hole in time and time-space fabric, and they can come in, they can go out, what about me? Can I go in? Can I go out? Is there something that I possess that will allow me to do this? You know, start really going to the nth degree of possibilities here. So yeah, you know, it's just little things I think about. But I think it's a great subject, and it's one that we are going to be delving into more and more as we look at CERN and look at what they've done and hypothesize great and terrible things, so to speak. Like, you know, big OMG. Oh my God, they did that. They really did do it. Okay, now what?
Exactly.
You have to open up and start asking those difficult, crazy, out of this world questions.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes left, Joanne. So we'll try and focus on the positive. But Steve, you want to? You sent the file over there to Joanne.
Yeah, I've sent that file over to you there, Joanne. Just waiting for you to accept it. And we have some comments as well from one of the listeners on People's Internet Radio said, "Wow, this is an amazing information. This is amazing information to get one's head round." We also have Mark on People's Internet Radio. Mark is wondering if you're familiar with Laura Eisenhower and Randy Cremer, and what do you think of their information?
Yes, I'm familiar with Laura, not with Randy Cremer. The name sounds familiar, but nothing in terms of work at the moment. I am familiar with Laura Eisenhower's work. When I listen to her, I feel very, very encouraged. I have no way of knowing if the information as to the Mars side of everything is true. I can't prove that. I do know that Mars is much, much, much smaller than what we were told. Everything we have been lied to about everything. When I have been studying the Mars photography for the last decade. I did it as a hobby, as a way to relax myself at night. I would just spend hours listening to classical music and staring at Mars photograph. And that's how I started to train my vision to go beyond what I can do today, or what I could do before, and how I can do the things I can do today. But so what I'm saying is, in terms of going there, I mean, I don't know. You know, she may or may not. I don't know. In terms of Mars itself, oh boy, it is so not what we have been told. NASA lies about everything, and they've lied about that. Let's see. I feel greatly encouraged by how she addresses humanity and tries to give them hope. I find great hope in those words.
And
so I applaud that.
And that's something that we, you know, the last 10 minutes, what we want to focus on is the solutions or the positives, if we can take some positives out of this. And, you know, the fact that, you know, a part of the process is waking up to know what's going on. And even if the people are skeptical and they don't believe it, they need to go off and do the research and check it for themselves. And, you know, go with what resonates with you. You have to question, you have to ask. Unfortunately, that takes a lot of energy and time. And for some people, unfortunately, there's people out there who don't want to bother doing that, but they'll give their opinion. But their opinion, you know, they'll disagree with you. But when you say, well, what research have you done? They'll go, well, I haven't actually done any, but this is my opinion. They think their opinion is actually fact when it's not. It's just an opinion. So I do think that, like what you've done, you've done so much research and looked into this. What's the positives that you take out of it?
Well, the positives I take out of all of this, is that nothing is impossible. Everything is possible with man. And so you can't be determinist. You can't come into this incarnation and have a particular way of viewing things. We've been talking about this throughout the whole show. We have to learn to be open-minded and non-determinist, because things can go in different directions other than what you thought. And if you have, I can probably generally agree with everybody here that, you know, certainly if we have a terrible outlook, I mean, it's going to be hard to find the silver lining in anything, or even want to. But out of all of this, it has really brought me to an increased awareness. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about us as human beings, is the awareness that we have, the potential to do according to our awareness. Give us a little bit, and we will go very far with that little bit. We'll do great things with it. But awareness really is key. You are easily enslaved when you are ignorant, when you are not observant, when you go with the party line, when you don't ask questions, when you accept whatever's told to you. From childhood, we are conditioned with so much programming to be that way, to be little automatons who don't think for ourselves. And I was like that all of my life. The state education I had, the military indoctrination, the religious indoctrination for 30 years and within Christianity, I finally broke out of that. I've broken out of a lifetime of mind control at a very late stage, but nevertheless, I have made up for it. In 2 years flat, look where I have come. So I have great faith in myself and in my fellow man. I really do. That when the rubber meets the road and we are really pushed and we are cracked open to find out what we are really like on the inside, there are amazing things about ourselves that we didn't know we possessed. So to me, this is not only a very uncertain time in history, but it is also a time of great possibility because of what we are finding out about who we truly are. You know, that we are not just this little people in the corner you can push off to the corner and marginalize and control. At some point, we will break and we will say no. And we will take back our power that we gave away, or that was, acquiesced, manufactured consent. So that to me, the greatest part of this journey is the possibilities within me, my potential, and discovering that and collaborating that power with other people. That's what really does put them in fear, the elites in fear. In fact, when you look back into the ancient texts, you find the story at the Tower of Babel. We will all come together and do this thing and build this thing. And then look at the hierarchy. The gods came down and said, no, scattered the languages, so you can't. So they would not have felt threatened if that were not possible to do something so amazing as to penetrate through the glass sky and go beyond where no man has gone before. So, yeah, great possibility within humanity, and that's why I love Laura's message. She is all about encouraging humanity to their potential. That's my message as well. I think at the end of the day, that's all of our messages from all of us. Human potential. And let's not let them siphon this from us. Let's not let them stop us from creating and being and finding all of these beautiful things about ourselves. We get stressed out. We get distracted. We feel like we're dysfunctional at some point because all this is being asked of us that we can't give and we can't give anymore. But that's exactly what they're trying to do. This is that chess game that we are at a certain point in our where we are against where they are, that we have to really, really dig down and within and find that life, find that power, find that wisdom and bring it forth. And it's not we're not all going to solve this individually. It is going to require really strong collaboration. But on the individual level, this is what it's teaching me, and I hope that it does that for everybody else. That when you really get to the thick of things, it shows you what you're all about, and what you are all about is possibility, potential.
Exactly.
There's no end to you.
Exactly. I think we have to be aware who we are. Steve, you have a couple of questions because we're near that time now.
Yeah, we do. So I think you've already answered one. Bob was wondering, are chemtrails playing a part in the hidden agenda, masking our view? I believe they are, Joanne. I think you've kind of said pretty much the same thing too, haven't you?
Yes, they definitely play a very large role. The barium, the strontium, the aluminum, not only for health reasons to desensitize us and the DNA and the chemistry in our brain and our body and everything else, but they are conducive for holography, and they are also for just obfuscating our view of everything that is going on in the skies. They are building, in August and September, I knew they were up there building things. I could hear it, I could see it, I could feel it, I could see the signatures everywhere. And the chemtrails cover all that. And now, lo and behold, we have so many things in place now. Look at what's going on. So, yeah, the chemtrails are masking all of the activity. To have put this in place was actually a brilliant tool and move, because it does so many things with just like that, with one thing. But and it's too bad. But, in another way, it's causing people to wake up.
Yeah.
So there are two sides to everything here. This awakening is coming because of this assault.
Yeah, yeah. And definitely people are talking about an energy change. People are feeling energy change is taking place. And we're seeing loads and loads of people waking up and coming in from all kind of angles and different subjects, talking about certain subjects, which is amazing, which is great to see. So maybe that is part and parcel of it. Steve, did you want to say something there?
Well, I was just clearing my throat.
Oh, okay.
but I was going to say, another question that came in is earlier was where can people see some of your photos? We'll probably get to that at the end.
By the way, that photo that you sent?
Yes, I'm going to ask you about that.
I posted. I took some photos the other morning. I think it was on the 1st and the 2nd of January over here on the East Coast before the sun rose at approximately 6:50 a.m. I took some photographs of what looks like exactly this right here that is in this photo, and the skies were completely black. And I saw this, and I took some photos of it, and yeah, it looks exactly the same. I posted it on my profile on Facebook. I found this thing in infrared, on the infrared radar, so I did some screenshots of infrared, and I outlined it, and I put my enlarged photos there. So I did a whole display on my wall with this, and I also put it in the Sun group. And if you want to get into the Sun group, just go on Facebook and type in Sun, Sky, and there you go, Sun, Sky, Matrix, Anomalies, Investigation Group. It's a long name, but it'll come up no matter what you put in. I mean, we got around 300 members right now. It's a closed group. I'm going to tell you here up front, I do look at your profile. If your profile looks like a troll profile, or if I can't see anything, I won't approve that. I won't approve it, because this is a very professional investigation with a group of people who are very dedicated and serious to uncovering what is going on, and very, very good-hearted, good people. And we just do not have time for anyone this is not a serious matter for you. Or no troublemakers. I am extremely good at sniffing out troublemakers, and I have no mercy on them.
Yep, I'll have to second that. Joanne is very good at sniffing them out, and you get rid of them pretty quick, because it is a serious group. And I've seen the comments and the photos people putting up there, and it's these the bad apples in the barrel that always spoil it for everybody else.
There's 6 or 7 people sitting in the queue right now that I already looked, and no, sorry, I don't. What interest is there of anything on your wall that shows you have an interest in this? I'm not, because we really want your input. We just don't want you to be a bystander. And I don't mind bystanders, if they want to learn, but please, come on, contribute. This is why things have gone wrong, because too many bystanders not contributing, and in this whole world, in our whole paradigm, and letting a few take over that responsibility. That's the problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Joanne, we've reached that time. A big thank you for coming on the show. And again, you've helped us out of a hole there, because Finbar's gone AWOL. I don't know where he's disappeared. You haven't heard from him, but we will get him on again in a subsequent show.
I didn't think I'd be talking this much, but I did have some black tea right before you called.
Well, I told you we'd have loads to talk about. I did say that. Okay, well, listen, I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to get all your details so people know where to contact you and how to contact you. Now, also, I want you to give a plug for your radio show as well. So I'll pass you over to Steve. Steve, take it from there.
Okay, yeah, Joanne, just give us all your information. Again, you're going to have to give me the name of that Facebook page again. Sun, Sky, Matrix,
okay.
Anomalies. That's all I got. I didn't get.
Yeah.
What was after
well,
that.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know that the websites and all the shows, we're in process of being launched. I've already done one radio show that's on YouTube, and it's under Breaking the Spell Live. Breaking the Spell Live. It might be hard to find, because, like I said, I've only got one up there, but got a whole lot more coming, and my website is about to be launched, so I'm not going to give that out. It's breakingthespell.org, but it's just a cover page. So the Sun Group. Okay. Sun, Sky, Anomalies. No, Sun, Sky, Matrix, Anomalies, Investigation Group. From there, I will be announcing, all the locations of all the other things. I'm getting together with a couple of ladies this Tuesday. We're going to discuss all of the things that we have learned in the last 3 months, and we're going to be launching some shows, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'll tell you what, I've got some really smart people working with me, and these ladies know they are intuitive, they know how to analyze photography, they stay on top of all of these latest research trends. When we come together and talk, it is absolutely mind-blowing to, I would love to be a fly on the wall listening to us talk. But so I'm really looking forward to our shows together and bringing forward all this evidence. It's going to take, be patient with us because we're really just taking off on so much.
Well, don't.
And I know I'm talking here, but
no, don't worry. I mean,
I should be doing this full time because I really do have a lot to say. But it takes somebody to kind of pull me out of my shell to do it.
I know. Well, that's why we're saying we're trying to get you up and running on the radio show and get you going because there's a lot of information to go out there. Again, a big thank you for coming on the show. And maybe in a few weeks' time, a couple of months' time, we'll get you on again, Joanne. You can give us an update because obviously this information is very important. Just stay with us there for a minute. We're just going to pop off to a musical break. And just stay with us there for a minute, Joanne. And a choice of music tonight, Steve, is going to be?
Oh, the little bit of Status Quo, rocking all over the world.
Go on.
Is that okay?
It's spraying all over the world, yeah?
Yeah, okay. See you after the break.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMradio.com, UnitedWeStrike.com, and PeoplesInternetRadio.com.
And we're back. Yes, he likes it, he likes it, he likes it, he likes it, he likes it. Yeah. Francis Rossi's Status Quo, rocking all over the world, or as Alan said, spraying all over the world. Yeah, there's a lot of spraying going on. I was actually, would you believe, locking the car last night. Well, not that I leave it open. I don't leave the car open, but I went out last night, as you do, you just make sure it's locked before you put the key in the door and, you off the stairs to bed. And noticed a lovely moon out last night. There's a lovely moon out again tonight. I think it's almost a full moon tonight. And I did notice that spraying was going on even at night. Now I know I'd heard about it happening before, but I'd never actually seen the nighttime chemtrails. You've seen them there last night. I mean, wow, what are they up to?
Exactly. Well, spraying all over the world. I feel another song coming on, like rocking around the Christmas tree. Spraying all over the world. You have to change the lyrics,
Jeez, we'll have an album out before you know it.
You never know. The OYM album, get it at Christmas. They are spraying, because one night I actually was, for some reason I was sitting out anyway. I was just enjoying the evening, and it was quite dark. And you could hear the planes going over, and you could actually physically see the trail going across the sky. And it's just amazing that so much more information is actually coming out these days, with the likes of Joanne and other people bringing out information that 2 years ago we wouldn't have known about, or wouldn't have really been out in the public. And now it's kind of coming out. And as I said, we have Simon Park. Simon has agreed to come back on the show. I think it's on the 25th of January. I think we're going to have to confirm that with him. And Simon told us about CERN 2 years ago and what they're planning to do, and how 2015, how this year is very important for CERN and what they're planning to do. So we've asked Simon to come back on to tell us about that, any updates, any information that he's got regarding it. So fingers crossed if he comes on the January 25th, it'd be worthwhile tuning in for that. Next week we have Bob Fletcher. Now, the Planet X thing, as I say, a lot of people are kind of, it's a hoax, it's only a hoax to kind of take your mind off other things. Well, it's Planet X, number one, is not taking my mind off other things. Number two, if it's a hoax, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't a hoax, wow, okay, brilliant, it comes and goes, doesn't matter. Doesn't bother me. But you have to look at the research. You have to look at people like Dr. Joseph Cipollone, Marshall Masters. Some people say he's a hoaxer, other people say he's not. And the likes of Bob Fletcher, who didn't want to go near the Planet X subject matter at all, because he just said, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. I'm a serious investigator. My reputation would be affected if I go near that thing. But in the end, he ended up getting involved and starting to study and research it, and he threw himself into it to study it. And then what he found out was, actually, there is some credence to what they're saying and what's going on. And so I would suggest people go on to YouTube and type in Bob Fletcher documentary part 1 and 2 and have a look at that before next week if you are into Planet X. And just give you an idea what his research, what he found, and what he's documented. But there's so much information out there now about it, and they don't want us to know about this. I mean, literally, Obama or whoever it is, Enda Kenny, whoever, are not going to come on TV and and say, oh, by the way, in 7 months' time, we have this celestial body that comes in every 3,600 years, and although it won't hit the planet, it'll have a massive effect on the planet, and billions of people are going to die. Can you seriously see them coming on and telling you that? And then what will people say? Well, I'm not going to work, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. I mean, there'll be total chaos on the planet. They don't want that. So they're not going to turn around. So they'll have all the hoaxes and the trolls and the shills out there telling you, convincing you that it's not going to happen. Now, as I say, it might not. It might be all a hoax, but so what if it is? If it turns around that it's all a hoax and it's not going to happen at all, then what harm has it done? Has it done any harm?
No.
Exactly.
None whatsoever.
None. Just say, oh, well, okay, we got caught out by that. The hoaxing was very good. They convinced us on that one. But you have to look at what's going on around physically around the Earth and the weather patterns and the weather reports and things going on like that. Magnetic poles changing. They're the things that you have to kind of be looking at. Not just the YouTube interviews, but physically seeing differences in weather patterns and everything else. And taking all that on board. Especially when records are being broken. Since they've started records saying, oh, that hasn't happened in 200 years or that hasn't happened in 300 years. Then you have to kind of start asking yourself things like that. But so Bob's going to be on, fingers crossed, next week. And we'll talk to Bob about that. That's the plan. Have you gotten a plan for the week?
Yeah, I'm going to be just looking at more of this information. Again, with an open mind, this information that I spoke of at the top of the show in relation to the theory of the hollow earth, the flat earth, that no satellites exist. And I'm just going to look at it, maybe, just for a bit of fun. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what's true. I see images and pictures on the internet. I see people doing YouTube videos. Is it true? I don't know. I genuinely don't. And that's why I'll just get all the information and I'll review it all, and as someone said before, and I've said it myself, some of it will just go into my file, and some of it will just sit in the back of my head until some other date and time when it may resonate. I don't know, but outside of that, I'll just keep watching the skies, listening to the alternative news media, because that's really where the news is. As I say, the likes of what we have here and the great Trojan work that goes on over at People's Internet Radio as well. I mean, we're only here for 2 hours, 7 to 9 on the Sunday, but they have programs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, it's a collaboration of us, them, everyone else. It's all great information, and at the end of the day, whatever resonates with you, that's your reality. Some people, they may listen to tonight's show, or they may listen to the podcast and go, that's a load of twaddle. But, for some people it will be twaddle, and for some people it won't be. For some people it will resonate really, really high. It'll make a lot of sense to them. It'll probably be like the missing piece of a jigsaw puzzle. So, it's a learning curve. It's all about learning and just reviewing information. Look, at the end of the day, Planet X, is it real? I don't know. If we are living in a dome and everything is closer than we're led to believe, and it's not 92 million miles away from the sun, maybe Planet X, for all we know, maybe it's the halogen bulb that is the sun is just about to waste, so they have a new bulb ready to take its place. I don't know. Maybe that's all it is. It could be just a bulb. We wake up one morning and the bulb is gone, but someone else will replace it, and then we'll be back. Maybe we're just ants in an ant farm. Maybe that's how small we are. Maybe we're not as big as we think we are. Men in Black, where they had the planets, and then when you zoom out and you realise that we're just, as you say, ants in an ant farm. And as Whelan once said on the chat, I mean, Planet X might be real, and it might come in and then go back out again, and nothing will happen. There you go. That's another scenario. I might have a little minor effect on weather patterns, and then it'll just go back out again, and that'll be the end of it. We don't know. Again, you have to go with your own gut feeling, do the research, and what we try and do is bring people on, like, Bob Fletcher, to talk about it, and then, ask him for, his facts and the information, and then you make up your own mind. That's the whole idea of bringing guests on. Listen to what they have to say, and then you just make your own mind. That's basically it. Do we know who Vin has on tonight? No, I just dropped a thing in the chat there, on PIR. Sorry, no, I haven't, on Skype to see who's on with Vin, and no one's got back to me just as of yet. So it's going to be Vin anyway, either by himself or he will have a guest. And I know generally by the second half of the show he likes callers to call in anyway. So yeah, stay tuned for People's Internet Radio coming up in 1 minute's time.
Brilliant. Okay, so from myself, have a good week. Stay safe, Alan James. And if there's any news you have, send it in. By all means, we do look at the links. I know haven't been getting links out as of late. We've just been busy, but we'll try and get back onto that. But take care of yourself and have a good week. We'll catch you next week.
You're not changing the end of the show, you know?
Not that I know of.
Okay, and the weather. We do a weather report. Yeah, if you want to know what it's like, look outside. Anyway, yeah, we'll do it all again next week, folks. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned to People's Internet Radio. And Vinny, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Open your mind.